welcome back to the University of Huddersfield, Nitin Sawhney.
Thank you very much.
Looking at your awards, accolades over the years, there are many, including the Ivor Novello Lifetime Achievement Award, a Sony Award, over 20 international awards, they're numerous. Your work's also been recognised in higher education. How does it feel to receive your Honorary Doctorate from the University of Huddersfield today?
Well, it's wonderful. I mean, it's particularly, I've had a few honorary doctorates, which I'm very proud of, but I think particularly it's special here because I've had a great relationship with the university for a very long time, and I've had quite a number of interns from here work with me, and they've gone on to have really interesting careers, all of them, you know, and I try to stay in touch with them all. So it means a lot, you know, having an honorary doctorate from here. It's very special.
As chair of the PRS Foundation, which is a Performing Rights Society foundation, tell us more about your passion for developing new music and talent.
I feel very passionately about new music and talent development because I think it's, I mean, one of the things about the PRS Foundation is it's very much about inclusivity and diversity. It really is, I think it's a real leader in terms of how we've created programs like Power Up, for example, which help young black artists and black promoters and managers to really get a foothold in the industry. It can be very difficult for people to really get a foothold in the industry if they're differently abled or if there are, you know, certain disadvantages that the industry places upon them. And I think it's very, you know, what I feel about the PRS Foundation is that it's been a real, I guess, a real inspiration that way for other charities. I mean, for example, 9 out of the 12 Mercury nominees last year were people who'd been funded by the foundation. The year before that, it was 8 out of the 12 Mercury nominees. So clearly, you know, the foundation itself has its finger on the pulse of new development, new talent. And so I'm really very excited about continuing to work as the chair and what the PRS Foundation stands for. And I feel very proud of its achievements in the past.
You've worked extensively in film, television, video games, musical scores. Is there a particular memorable experience that stands out to you that you'd like to describe to us?
Well, I've had some amazing experiences. At the ceremony just now, Nelson Mandela was mentioned. I was fortunate enough to meet him in his house and interview him. And I remember talking to him at length. I just read his book, Long Walk to Freedom. And it was because I was over there to record his voice for my album Prophecy. His voice appears on one of the tracks on Breathing Light. And I remember talking to him, and at one point his PA came into the room and said, Madiba, which is what they called him. Madiba, the president, is on the phone to speak to you. And he looked at me and just said, how many more questions have you got? I said 2 or 3. He said, could you ask the president to call back in 10 minutes? Which I thought was fantastic because for me that was an illustration that he thought of everyone as equal. And people say these things. Politicians will say, oh, I see everyone as equally valid. He actually demonstrated it without even realising it in that moment. And that was a beautiful moment for me. So it's not necessarily a musical moment, but it's a moment that I came to because of music.
I read that you joined Pink Floyd to play on their keyboards for a charity track that went to #1 in something like 29 countries.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
It was fantastic. I mean, David Gilmour called me up. I've known David on and off for many years, and he called me up and said, and asked me it was a charity record for Ukrainian refugees. And he said, how do you feel about being a member of Pink Floyd for a track? And I said, well, I don't know, you're such an unsuccessful band. I'm not sure if I can. But no, it's brilliant. And it was just a very special moment. And actually going down and recording with him and the band was really, really lovely. They were so generous, and he insisted that I was part of the band. I was kind of saying, look, I'm just like coming down. I've absolutely adored Pink Floyd since I was a kid. So, but he was saying, no, all the photographs, all the interviews has to be us as a band. We are Pink Floyd right now. And I was like, okay, fine. But it just struck me as he was very generous and very kind.
As someone who's had a very long and successful career, and you've inspired many of our students, you've mentioned that you regularly have placement students and interns, there's a scholarship in popular music. We'd be interested to know which figures in your life have inspired you.
Well, Nelson Mandela was one of them, but I guess in different ways, different people have inspired me. Ustad Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan inspired me a lot with his incredible voice, the fact that it transcended all boundaries. Jeff Buckley once called him his Elvis, the fact that he could reach an icon like him and impress him and inspire him in that way. But also his voice was used in many different film scores, Last Temptation of Christ, Natural Born Killers, Bandit Queen, so many things. So it's people who I guess have transcended boundaries. But I also felt very inspired in a number of ways by lots of different musicians across, too many to mention, but people like Paco de Lucia as a flamenco guitarist, Ravi Shankar, Panditji Ravi Shankar as a sitar player and as a humanitarian. Lots of different people, I guess.
Thank you so much, Nitin.
Brilliant. Thanks for that.